Welcome. Today we're going to be talking in and about concrete bridge deck forming. And as always, these presentations are intended for training purposes only. For technical specifications for the products mentioned within this training, please refer back to DaytonSuperior.com. So as we talked about, we're going to talk about bridge deck construction. The products and accessories that go along with the bridge deck construction and what to expect with those products. And then obviously we'll go over the resources that will be associated. So with bridge deck construction, you are looking at either a cast in place, a precast, can be steel, wood, or concrete beams supported uh, within the structure here. And when we talk about can be a precast steel or wood deck, it can be supported by any of those other, whether it be steel, precast, or wood again, for the beams. So we have to have a variety of different forming accessories available for that. All of the common products that will be used within this type of forming is obviously going to be plywood sheeting, joists, ledgers, posts, uh, posts that are typical in cast in place structures, and then plywood, interior and exterior grade. So we are going to be talking a little bit about overhang brackets and their accessories. Uh, that is probably the most consistent product that is always used within bridge deck forming. And then we'll touch base on the chemicals that can be associated with the bridge deck. Not to mention real quick the Simon's forming systems and any of the engineering systems too, also that what can be provided to the dealer slash contractor. So let's start with the big item here that we're talking about. Almost every job you deal with is going to need a bridge overhang bracket. And for Dayton Superior, that is our C49 and or our C49D are the two standard brackets that we carry. The C49 typically has a vertical adjustment from 30 to 50 inches and a horizontal member of 54 inches. Now, the deep bracket is same bracket, 54 inches horizontal length, and the vertical adjustment now adjusts from 50 to 70 inches. So it gets a little bit deeper in the beam, but that can actually handle a little bit larger beams. We also have a C49S. Now, the C49S is a C49 overhang bracket that has been modified by the contractor in the field. This is not a select product. It is just a C49 that has been modified, and we can talk about how to modify that at a later date. The diagonal member here of the overhang bracket has a weight capacity of 3,750 pounds. We also have our C89 overhang bracket and our C89L. These two brackets here typically have a 6,000 pound load rating. You are talking C89 is 72 inches and the C89L is 90 inches. Vertical dimensions typically range from 28 to 30 to 60, about 28 to 66 inches and 30 inches to 68 inches. These brackets here are much heavier than our standard C49 and typically will require a 3/4 inch hardware connection. So a 3/4 inch heavy duty hanger and 3/4 inch coil rod. We also have available for those people out on the West Coast. We say that this is a West Coast bracket. It's primarily that's where it was originated. Uh, primarily because of seismic requirements and design of different types of bridge structures to handle that seismic design. So this bracket here typically gets bolted in through the web of the girder, and the web is the dimension or the item between the top of the beam flange and the bottom beam flange. So that intermediate area in between the top and bottom of the beam is called the web. So you would typically bolt through the web with a bolt, 3/4 inch bolt, to actually make that connection. You have two large yokes, what they call them, here, which would actually handle lumber provided by the contractor. And those are available in from 40 to 47 inches in vertical length, to where you can also get a little short one that's available. As you can see here in these types of structures right here, they come in very handy because you can actually do some very good, very big overhangs with this bracket. It does have a 4,500 pound load rating. Now, with standard overhang brackets, you typically are going to have a C40, or excuse me, a C24 pressed steel hanger. These are called half hangers. They come in a multitude of sizes and shapes, and they actually have different end configurations. And if you're looking at what end configuration is, each one has a different relationship to what it does and the characteristics of what it can accomplish within that hanger. Typically, you're going to get a C24. These hangers are typically used for steel girders, but they can also be used with concrete girders. Typically, they would get welded to any rebar that would be protruding out of a concrete beam. So the strength capacities on a concrete girder are much less than they would be if they were welded to a steel girder. We have these hangers also available in 15-degree offsets. So you can get a hanger that will actually have 15-degree offset. To actually in a concrete girder, you want to get that coil rod away from the girder so you can put a nut and a washer on it. This enables you to actually set that coil bolt away and off of the hanger by having that 15-degree offset. For hangers that are also available here, we have our C13, which are saddle plate hangers. These are typically used for commercial construction. They typically have no break back on them, so they would have to be cut back with the flush of the concrete structure, and are like I said, typically used for commercial construction only. Your C41 hangers are typically designed for your bridge deck construction. These hangers actually come with a 1-inch break back on any of the 90-degree applications. And you can get these in a multitude of configurations. A coil rod hanger that drops down on one side, a hanger on the other side, whether it be 45, 90, or 15-degree. You can also get these coil rods assembled with a 15-degree offset if it is a concrete girder and you need to actually move the formwork so that you can run the coil nut and washer up on the hanger. Just so it'll bypass the concrete girder. That's also available. These hangers actually have about a 4,500 pound capacity and are used regularly across the U.S. We also have adjustable hangers. These are C25 adjustable half hanger, 90-degree and 45-degree available. They typically have a coil rod threaded center rod that actually you use a clip with two nuts to actually grip around either a Nelson stud if it's a steel structure or a piece of rebar if it's a concrete girder. These are great hangers if you have a hanger that may have been damaged during shipping, or that they forgot to put in, or that they just didn't get ordered or whatever. These hangers are great hangers for repair, replacement, kind of in an emergency type situation. We also have our heavy duty C25A HHD, which is the heavy duty adjustable hanger. This is a 6,000 pound hanger. Typically uses two steel plates with four coil nuts. This is one that has two coil rods that come off and will straddle a Nelson stud or a piece of rebar protruding from the concrete beam or attachment. Now, you notice that any of the hangers that have a designation after the number. So C, whatever number it is, like in this case, 25. If it's just a plain C25, that is a 90-degree application. That means the coil rod is going to drop straight down from the hanger. A C25A or C25A HD typically designates that it has an angle connection. So that angle on the end of it now comes off at a 45-degree, which is designed to accommodate a bridge overhang bracket. So anytime you have any of the hangers with an A designation after it, that has an angle which is typically designed for a overhang bracket. With steel beams, you got a variety of hangers you can use. You can use the coil rod hanger. We can use a C60 hangers for precast girders. We have our C60 hangers also, but we also have our C24 half hangers with a precast application. So a lot of these hangers, they have a multitude of usability, where they can be used, what they can be used for. Uh, and it is commonplace for the customer to actually determine which hanger they want to use. The big item that is going to be here is going to be the capacity that the customer wants for the overhangs. On an overhang or even on an interior forming, we have different weight capacities, 2,300 pounds. We have 2,500 pounds, 3,000 pounds, and 6,000 pounds. So all of these considerations are taken into consideration when looking at a hanger as to what hanger and what hanger what configuration the customer is looking for. For interior type hangers, where we're going to do removable wood form for the interior beams, whether they be steel or concrete, you can use any of the C60 hangers. And you can see the C60 type 1 here on top, type 2 down below, type 3 below that, type 4 is below that one. Those are probably the four most common hangers that you will use here, along with the type 5, which is the hanger, the fifth one down on the list here. These hangers typically are designed for 90-degree application. A lot of times it's going to be for wood, removable wood forms used with steel beams. You can also get a type 8 down here with a 15-degree offset. And those hangers typically are everything from 2,300 to 6,000 pounds in capacity, depending on the configuration. We also have the same type series hangers here with the type 1, but an A version, which means it has a 90-degree on one side and a 45-degree on the other. So C60A series typically has a no haunch on the type 1. Type 2 has 1.5 inches, or excuse me, 1 inch, has a type Type 2 has a 1 inch. Type 3 has an inch and a half. Type 4 actually has the interlock. Uh, the interlock typically is what is recommended because of the weight and capacities that are required for the diagonal on that, or what would be the 45 degree. Usually you're talking that has the weight of the finishing machine on it, which oftentimes exceeds the weight of the concrete. So you actually have to have that additional strength and requirement with it. Now, to connect all these connections, we use 1/2 inch coil rod. For overhang brackets, we use the 24-inch adjustable, which is the most common adjustable coil bolt around for the overhang brackets. Some contractors will use straight coil rod with nuts. Uh, Not a big fan because I like having the welded nut on the end here so we can remove this after it's used and then drop the overhang bracket without any difficulty. You are looking at the coil rod that comes out of that hanger with the A type configuration. The coil rod has to come out of that hanger at a 45-degree angle and should make a connection to the overhang bracket in a 45-degree fashion, plus or minus a couple of degrees either way is not going to matter. But you want to make sure that you make that connection cleanly throughout the structure. We also have a wall plate adapter that can be mounted to the overhang bracket, so you can attach the wall overhang bracket to the concrete structure. You'll see a lot of guys will take their overhang bracket and use it as a scaffold bracket in a lot of situations. This is a great plate for that. It's a full 100% reusable item. Typically uses a 3/4 inch either bear cap bolt or a drop-in type insert or a cast-in place insert to hold it in place. We also have our guardrail receptacle, C52 guardrail receptacle, and our C54 guard extender. Now, the extender basically gives you 20 inches of additional workspace on the horizontal member. The workspace where the overhang bracket is, you get 20 inches with the extender. That is only designed to carry a man load. It's not designed to carry concrete and or the finishing machine. So typically, if you're going to put this on an overhang bracket, that's only going to be for the walkway area. Our guardrail extension can either be attached to the overhang bracket or to the guardrail extender here as needed. Now, we do have engineering capabilities available for both products. This is all done at our bridge overhang bracket support team down in Orlando, Florida, part of the Tiltworks program. And you can actually get a hold of them through customer service. They can actually send this out to the contractor. The contractor can fill it out, or the dealer can fill it out. Unfortunately, this is something that typically we cannot fill out because there's information related here that we do not know. For example, the weight of the finishing machine and or the characteristics associated to that machine. So the contractor typically will have to be the one to fill this out. Once this information has been designed and we do run a calculation, the contractor will get back a bridge deck overhang calculation summary, which will actually tell you the spacing of the bridge overhang bracket based on the weight of the finishing machine and characteristics associated with that project. It will also, if need be, have the interiors done. Interior hanger spacing is just as important as exterior. The interior hangers typically are used when and if they are not using some form of permanent formwork. In some states, they use an SIP decking, which is a corrugated metal decking, which will stay in place. Other states have actually gone to a concrete deck material, or concrete plank, so to speak. It's a 3-inch thick reinforced concrete that'll be actually the width of the opening between the girders. So when they set the girders in place, they will then set these concrete planks on top of it. And actually, that will actually act as your uh, concrete formwork. And it'll be eventually, once you pour the deck, will become an integral part of the bridge deck itself. So here we run all our uh, spacing charts, etc., basically calculating all the bending stresses associated with all the lumber and everything. Once again, these are all based on a job per job basis and are typically run by the engineering group out of Orlando, or our Tiltworks group. They can also provide a drawing if needed per project, which will basically list our Dayton Superior products, the hangers required, both interior, exterior, and what type girder they're using, etc., and any additional hardware that may be required. So you also have other accessories that are available for bridge deck. You have slab bolster upper, slab bolster plastic tip are all standard common practices. And any of the plastics, whether it be slab bolster upper. Remember, slab bolster is dependent upon the rebar that's being used, especially plain rebar, plain bar supports. Epoxy bar supports. Galvanized rebar, galvanized bar, galvanized bar supports, and or you can use plastic on everything from plain to stainless steel. So the plastic bar supports are very commonplace in the marketplace because of their versatility for the contractor and the fact that they do not rust. So any of the references that any of the products here that may come into place here, you got DaytonSuperior.com, you got TDSs, handbooks, and marketing pages available there. Obviously, any of the contact information for the sales, customer service, technical engineering, and or training is also available. So with that information given here, you can see any of this information here is readily available for your customer and for our internal customer service people. So if you have any questions, please refer back to DaytonSuperior.com, or feel free to give us, Heidi and myself, a quick question at training@DaytonSuperior.com. Thank you.